Oye, Batalada! Me and these Koyos here to talk about the Expanse. First, joining me, filling in for Darren, is this Koyo here, Mr. Don Willi. Don Willi, thanks so much for joining, Koyo.
Ah, the goddamn belters and your fucking language. No one cares. You know what? Get the hell out of here, long bones.
And also joining me, Marco Naris's biggest fan, Alyssa. Thanks so much for joining.
Yeah, me and Darren, I think, are his biggest fans. We're going to start the Marco Naris fan club. But yeah, thanks for having me, Mark. It's good to be back here.
Cool. Yeah. So I was pretty blown away by that episode. So I'm pretty curious to hear what you guys got to say. Alyssa, your thoughts first. What were your thoughts on this episode overall?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I saw your review, and I guess I wouldn't say that I felt like I was as blown away by it by you. Like it wasn't like the greatest thing ever, but it was really good. Don't get me wrong. Like I don't really have a lot of negative things to say about it. Like it was actually a really strong episode. I just wouldn't say that I was totally blown away. Like it's one of the best things I've ever seen or anything like that. But at the same time, yeah, I can't think of anything negative to say. Like it was a really, really good episode, really good character sketch about Naomi. And it's interesting that I can't remember the last time we got an Expanse episode. Now, granted, I don't remember all of these previous seasons super well, but I can't remember the last time we got an Expanse episode that focused so much on one storyline for so much of the episode. Like we barely got anything else but Naomi. And it was interesting. I thought it worked really, really well. And actually it was kind of a nice change of pace because sometimes in some of the earlier episodes, I felt like almost they were going to too many storylines, if anything. So this was a really nice change of pace. So yeah, I really liked it.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with all the episodes. I can't remember any specific example where they focus on one storyline this much. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there is one I'm just not remembering.
Certainly, it's not very common. If nothing else.
Definitely not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, Don, your thoughts on this episode?
Fucking belters. Hey, listen, man. Good episode. You know, got me to hate them even more. I mean, even though there weren't too many of the ones that did show up, it was like, oh yeah, you bunch of bastards. I can't wait until you get your comeuppance. I don't think we got enough Bobby. I mean, but I don't think we ever get enough Bobby. And I was shocked by the lack of Peaches and Amos. Because they have been one of the prominent kind of storylines for the past few weeks. So to not have them at all was kind of a little jarring, but still really good episode, especially with regards to Naomi and seeing where she's come from and what she had to sacrifice to become who she is. And yeah, I mean, a little heart wrenching. So, let's get into it.
So Carlos Zoom staying in the chat's also following my lead by speaking Belter. Says, not hate all Belters, just them that follow Marco. But anyway.
We all follow Marco now. Remember, they have no choice now, right?
Well, there's still some Fred Johnson loyalists out there, and presumably some Dolls loyalists, but like there's Belters that are crewing there is not. But anyway.
Yeah, what's up with Dawes? We hear communications from him every once in a while, so he still is out there somewhere, but
yeah, they reference him, but I think they can't get what's his name? The actor.
I was going to call him David Robert Jones, but that's his character from
what?
Fringe. From Fringe.
Oh, from Fringe. Okay.
Yeah. And he was also I knew it because he was in Chernobyl, and he got some notoriety, and I knew his name then. Now it's escaped me.
Yeah, now it's escaped me. I'm sure someone in the chat will point out. Yeah, because I can't believe I can't come up with it. But yeah, it seems like he's busy doing other stuff, and they can't get him back. So they're just Dolls is off doing this thing. I don't know. He's meant to appear in the books. He appears in book 6. I don't know if they're going to try to get him back next season, but we'll see. Anyway, so what was I talking about? I sort of lost my train of thought.
Those damn belters.
So I was going to respond to you, Don, because you mentioned, and I'm going to say kind of a controversial opinion. It might be a hot take or whatever, but I was actually glad that we gave the Amos and Clarissa stuff a rest this episode. Not that I don't like their stuff. I do like it, but I think the past couple episodes blowing your mind. The past couple episodes has focused so much on them, and so I'm glad that we actually get to focus on other storylines. And honestly, I think the Naomi storyline's got a lot more sort of emotional weight to it than the Amos stuff personally. So I was actually happy that we actually spent some more time.
So actually, Mark, I was going to say the same thing. I actually think it's good that we got a break from that storyline, because I feel like it was kind of dominating, definitely the last episode.
I think the last two
episodes, it was sort of the dominating storyline. I think we needed a break from it. So I actually thought this was a well-timed episode off for Amos. So
yeah, we'll get back to him.
Yeah, we'll get back to him. I'm sure there's plenty Amos left.
Yeah. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and let's start with the most insignificant storyline. Let's get into Bobby Draper and Alex.
Hey. You don't call anything with Bobby.
But hey, Don, even you agreed that she didn't appear as much in this episode as you would have liked.
Yeah, I mean, but that doesn't. Hey, but you don't say insignificant. I dare you.
I said the storyline was not her, but anyway.
Okay.
I actually think that they kind of downplayed them, the whole storyline, the season overall. Like in the books, they actually had more to do, and they kind of cut out this huge, major plot point involving them. And so I wonder if they'll ever get any screen time this season, or if they're just going to pop up every once in a while for the rest of the season.
Underused. They are so underused this season.
Yeah.
I mean, here's well, because Kaz Anvar isn't supposed to be appearing next season at all, right? And we don't know if there's a possibility that they may have even cut down what he had already filmed for this season due to that. And then, just as a kind of as a consequence, there also goes Bobby, because he was with Bobby the entire season.
I kind of doubt that. I seriously doubt that. I don't know.
It's possible.
I don't know. Because, I don't know, like, there was a lot of stuff that, as I said, there was stuff from the books that had more to do, but it's clear that they didn't film that, because things would have happened in a totally different order if they did. So that just makes me think that they just didn't use them. It was just a coincidence, but I don't know. I know that they already finished filming all this stuff before all the controversy with them happening, but I suppose they were still editing. But I don't know. Maybe they cut a few things, but I don't think it would have been anything that significant. Personally, I don't know. Anyway, so in this episode, we got what did they do really? They were just like talking to Avasarala, and then they were talking to Holden and telling them about the ships, and Holden got them to follow the Naomi ship. Yeah, I mean, that's not about much. I think the most interesting. I mean, we got some really cool interplay between Alex and Bobby. Like, I like I think they make actually a really good team, even if they are underused. And I like that they think they had the really good camaraderie. The way she was just plucking off bullets off her suit, and she was like, when Avasarala talked to him, Alex is like, "Well, you didn't mention the fact I blew up the ship." She's like, "No, I left that part out. If you want, I can give you one of my medals." She's just like, "Fuck you!" Like, that was a really good interplay between them. But other than that, like, yeah, I mean, what I thought was interesting information that we learned in the storyline is that when Avasarala mentioned that all of the UN ships were that were in the belt are kind of heading back to the sort of inner planets to protect Earth, and she's like, "Oh, we'll try to knock out some of these Marco ships on the way," but it seems like that's not their priority. Is not to go after Marco. It's just to return to Earth and protect Earth, which I think sort of lays out that Marco pretty much has free reign of the belt. That he's pretty much running the belt. So anyway, I don't know if you guys had any thoughts on this. Don, we can start with you.
Yeah. Okay. So the one thing that I found a little jarring is the fact that when she took off one of the bullets, she tossed it and plink. I'm like, aren't they supposed to still be in space? Like, is there some artificial gravity?
Well, apparently, like, I was reading stuff online, and I realized this after it was pointed out to me that apparently that the show has always been that's always been a fault of the show, that they always have people just randomly throw stuff around when everything should be secured when they're in space. And that was like probably a really egregious, obvious example of the way she just plucked it and just threw it at the ground, which is a huge no-no, especially as a projectile. You don't want to do that.
Well, like I said, for me, it was more the thing that it seemed like she took it, tossed it, and it dropped. And I'm like, yeah, that doesn't seem like.
Oh no, the fact that it dropped, I think they were on thrust. So when the ship is in thrust, there's the artificial gravity. That's always been the whole thing in the Expanse, the 1G.
Okay, yeah. All right. So that is forgiven then, because I'm like, wait, they're still in space. They shouldn't have any gravity. How is she just taking it and tossing it on the ground? I mean, on the floor. I mean, but
I mean, you should. This has always been a huge thing throughout the Expanses. When the ships are in thrust, there's gravity, because they create gravity by moving.
Okay, you know what? I'm not sure how I missed that.
And so they usually do the 0G when the ships aren't moving. That was the main plot point in season 3. That's why all of a sudden there wasn't any gravity anymore, because the ships were stuck and they couldn't move.
All right, yeah.
But it was my point stands that the having loose ship flying around, so when the ship started moving around, it could become a projectile. Like, everything should be secured. So that's what was the fault of her just plucking it around like that. But anyway,
yeah, that's definitely a thing. All right, Alyssa.
So yeah, not much. Yeah, you were looking at Mark, but that's okay.
Sorry, go backwards here.
Not much to say on this storyline. It was basically phone calls, like, "Hey, Holden, yeah, hey, buddy, I'll take care of that for you. Here's some information." I mean, there wasn't a lot to it. I was just going to comment though, because you mentioned Avasarala. Speaking of underused. Last episode she was in one scene. 2 episodes ago she didn't appear at all, and this episode she was only in that one scene where it was just her pre-recorded message. So when's Avasarala going to be in the show?
Yeah, she had a lot to do at the start of the season, like the first episodes, but it seems like recently that she kind of just dropped off. I'm guessing that towards the end of the season we'll get more of her.
Yeah.
You know what it is? They haven't had anyone for her to tell shut the fuck up to. So,
Yeah.
There's no one around that she can be like, shut the fuck up already. So they're like, all right, well.
Yeah, I mean, she couldn't really say that to the minister of what was he? The minister of transportation, because he was such a nice guy. Like she could like tell him to fuck off. So yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so soon as she has an underling or someone that she can tell shut the fuck up.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
I don't really have much else to say about this storyline.
Yeah, not much to happen.
Yeah.
I did like how they assumed like they were going back to Tycho because they assumed Holden was there when they sent him a message. They're like, "Oh, that got back really quick. He must not be in Tycho anymore." And right after she said it, I was like, "I'm not on Tycho anymore." And how well, let's get into this because this kind of intersects the Holden storyline. So let's jump into the Holden storyline. The fact that he sent Alex out to follow Naomi's ship rather than go after it himself, that he was sort of talked down to by like Bull and Monica. It's like, you can't. And I love how Monica had this whole speech. It's like, I know how much you want to go after Naomi, but the priority here is finding the permanent molecule. And Holden's like, yes, I agree. Like he didn't even need that speech. He already sort of resigned himself to like, yes, absolutely. But he found a way to have his cake and eat it too. Is like, and this is another thing I sort of mentioned in my review, the way that after Holden said, let's go after, told Alex and Bobby to go after that ship. Bobby immediately didn't even question, even though it was extremely dangerous for them to do that. Just like, all right, let's set the course right away, which I thought was a really nice touch. But people were pointing out how it's sort of that Holden is progressing as a character, that he knew right away to do the right thing and that he didn't have to be sort of talked into it by doing that. But yeah, and then we got the really cool fight scene that I really appreciated. I thought this was actually a beautiful space battle that was very sort of coherent with, they tracked down the Belter ship that was carrying the protomolecule and sort of attacked them. Now, here's something that I didn't notice when I watched this episode, but I've heard a lot of people online talking about this. Someone made a comment on my video, and I heard a lot of other elsewhere talking about this. And I rewatched this scene, and I looked for it, and I couldn't find it. But apparently, they were saying that, how the Belter ship dropped like a whole crap load of missiles at them, that one of the missiles didn't go towards the Rosinante, that it flew off, and it had like a different colored drive pin, so they assumed it had an Epstein drive so it could go faster and further, and it went off in a different direction. And then the ship self-destructed rather than letting Holden confirm that the protomolecule was still on board the ship. So a lot of people's got theories about that. I don't know if you want to give any thoughts on that.
So that the theory is that the protomolecule was on that missile, yes, and sent off. I mean, that would make sense. I can't imagine that they would just have it so Holden destroyed the protomolecule and that's it, and we're done with that storyline. So it makes a lot of sense that it would be sent off somewhere. So I did not notice that either, though, but that does make sense.
Yeah, now I'm going to have to rewatch because, I also did not notice that at all. Oh, man. Damn you people of the internet.
And I personally think I agree, it would be very anticlimactic because this protomolecule piece has been set up ever since season 2 when Naomi gave it to Fred Johnson and he was using it and they went and stole it. It seemed rather anticlimactic that Holden would just destroy it right away like this. And plus, I was kind of questioning whether or not it was destroyed when the ship blew up, so I was watching the scene carefully to see if Marco mentioned. And it seemed like he could imply with his whole thing to Philip about, thanks for bringing the when he was chastising Philip. It seemed it could be implied that the protomolecule was destroyed, but he never outright said it. So that made me think that it wasn't, that he had a plan that made it so it wasn't destroyed.
Yeah, we got some new information, or at least it's new to me, that Mars was not just selling them things in the black market, but actively helping them. And Holden figured out that they have something that Mars wants, and it must be the protomolecule. So they seem to be implying that the plan was to, for Mars would end up with the protomolecule. So I don't think you set that up and then just destroy the protomolecule. So I think we still need to follow that storyline.
Yeah, and I thought that was really interesting the way Monica sort of laid it all out, because I do think that's, well, I kind of know that that's an important plot thread that they hadn't even mentioned yet. So they sort of brought light to it. That also, not just that, but also that it's in order for the Mars to give them all these warships, that it had to go really, really high up the chain of command, and a significant amount of Martian traders.
Well, I assume that that guy who Alex interrupted his class. He was the guy there. Alex was like, "No, he would never betray Mars." And I was like, "Bad guy," but yeah.
What
So
woman? What an evil admiral? Evil admiral's obviously evil.
And the woman who pretended to flirt with Alex.
Yeah. So definitely they're obviously involved, I would assume.
Yeah, but I think what they're implying here, that it's even bigger than them. That's even bigger than what Alex is.
Like even higher than them.
Yeah. Some Hoy up. Anyway, so I also liked, I like the interchange between Holden and Monica in the storyline. I also like the interchange between Holden and Bull. I thought how it was interesting how they were sort of commemorating, that's what I'm looking for, Fred Johnson, and how Bull said that he didn't go out there to help the Belters. He went out there because he was, wanted to punch the clock for Fred. And I sort of like that. I like how Bull was sort of saying how much Holden and Fred were alike and how similar they were, and Holden kind of regretted not trusting him more when he was alive. So, I thought that was a pretty interesting interplay as well. I don't know if any of you had anything to add to that.
It was interesting to hear Holden say that he didn't trust Fred Johnson, because here is Fred's right-hand man working with him, and he told him, "Hey, listen, you could have punched the clock on Earth." He was like, "Yeah, but I came out there for him because most people, you can tell." He was like, I can tell when people are bullshitting me. I've worked with Fred for a long time, and to the day he died, I could never tell." So I mean, like, what does that say about him, as a leader, when you can pull someone like millions of miles away to work for you on a cause they don't even believe in? Yes, it's a paycheck, but he could have got a paycheck anywhere. But he came there for him. So I mean, obviously his presence is still felt, from through the people that are continuing to try to salvage what they can. That Marco has kind of destroyed at this point. They're like, all right, this is to a certain extent a revenge mission.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to ask, is like, what is motivating Bull now? Like, now that Fred's not there, that he's not there to join him, why is he still out there doing stuff? Is it just revenge kick to get revenge for Fred? Or is it that he kind of found a home out there and he has no reason to go back to Earth? Or maybe a combination of both, or maybe he wants to, even after he gets revenge on Marco, theoretically, would he stay out in the belt just to honor Fred's memory and do what he wanted to do?
I mean, well, he didn't want to honor his last wish about being put into the chocolate, so
Yeah, he was so like I don't give a crap what he wished. So dismissive of it. Well, actually, Mark, another possibility is that you've nailed it before, and it's all because they just need another speaking part for Fulton to interact with, and that's really the only reason he's out there, not for any particular reason.
Yes. And hello to you, Sentient, in the chat. Good to see you again. Cool. So yeah, what else have we got going in the Holden storyline? I'm trying to remember. I don't think that was it, right? Did he
yeah,
take
that
the
was
ship? Yeah, and that was the last we saw of him. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and move over to the big one. And this, as I said, I absolutely love the storyline this episode. I'm not surprised, Alyssa, that I like this one more than you, seeing as you don't like Marco. That don't think he's that good of a villain. Where I thought he was. I just love the interplay. I love the dynamic between Marco, Naomi, and Philip. I love, and this is again the show improving on the books and doing something more than what the books did, because they definitely have to change direction, because in the book so much of this storyline was in Naomi's viewpoint, in her narration, inside her head. So I think they did a great job of doing more with that, because obviously they can do that in the visual medium. And so they added the storyline of sort of Marco and Naomi trying to, like, having this battle for Philip's heart, and Naomi actually almost winning him over, because in the book she never did. Like, he always was like, fuck you, you're a traitor to the belt, whatnot. But here, I love the scene where Naomi was actually like telling him about how she almost killed herself when, after 2 months of looking for him, couldn't find him, and just how depressed she was, and also how he kind of hero worshipped her a bit for saving all the Belters with the ring gates and whatnot, and just seeing them hug it out. I thought that was really touching. And then, of course, and Marco could tell. I think he was a smart guy. He could tell that she was winning him over. So his way of sort of striking back was to, like, completely humiliate and tear down Philip, and then build him back up again and be like, if you follow if you follow your mother, you're a weak traitor, you're nothing. But if you follow me, you could be this huge, like, leader, and everyone will be chanting your name, Philip, Philip, Philip. And I thought that was absolutely great manipulation. I totally bought it. Don, you're shaking your head. Do you have any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, first off, fuck you, Philip. Okay. I mean, look, here's the thing, right? So the way that things were going, it really seemed as though Philip was starting to turn a corner. He listened to Naomi's story. They had a cry together. They hugged it out. It was very, very sentimental and sweet. Naomi goes and talks to, I forget what the dude with the tattoos on his face. And he's like, "Look, I'm sorry. I thought
we'll get to Sen shortly."
Yeah, he was like, "Hey, I'm sorry that that I kept Philip from you. I thought that by helping Marco, that somehow that this would all bring, that this would bring all of us together." Her wanting to kill herself, and her actually telling telling Philip, like, "Hey, look, I got so depressed that I was, I wanted to kill myself, and I almost did, but then I thought about, like, hey, if I did that, I would, not only would I never see you again, but it wouldn't change the fact that you were growing up without a mom, and I wouldn't, there wouldn't be a way for me to find you, ever, if I did that." So yeah, I was thinking, okay, yeah, he's finally turning a corner now and seeing, Naomi didn't want to leave him. Then when she says about her doing the program and realizing what Marco had really set her up for. And it was like, yeah, I was doing it all for the glory of Marco Honoros. I wasn't doing it for the belt. This wasn't something that was an altruistic thing that was meant to help everybody. It's just so people would look at him as a hero. It was like, but I'm the one who's paying the price for it. Still to this day, I still got to live with that. And for her to say, hey, now I just have to hope that one day you'll be able to come to your senses and realize that you're gonna have to live with the fact that you helped your father kill millions of people when you didn't have to, and yeah, so to see what happened later on, and I don't know if you want to save that particular portion for later or not. Go ahead.
Yeah, save it for a bit later.
So as you can see, what I have here, right? Look, we all realize that Naomi is a woman of African descent, or as we like to say, black. And in America, in America, in the black community, that is one thing that you cannot slap your mama. Oh no. That is rule number 100. You cannot ever lay hands on your mama. Philip, I don't care if you were just doing it because somehow you thought that this was gonna bring you glory and have people screaming in it. You cannot slap your mama. Boy, you done fucked up right there.
Well, you know what? Participating in genocide, that's one thing, but slapping your mom, that's crossing the line. You have crossed the line, Philip.
All right. Listen, before I get to you, I just want to touch on what was mentioned in the chat here. We got William DeBoyer says, hey guys, just curious what you thought after Naomi screams, I hate you. Feels like she got locked up by Serge and the other one, but 1 second later she's in the airlock. My impression was they took her to her room, but they didn't necessarily lock her in, because at this stage she still had free range of the ship as long as she didn't punch anyone or whatever. Otherwise, Marco said, otherwise I'll throw you out the airlock, which she just threw herself out the airlock instead. So that was the impression I got, that they didn't necessarily lock her in, that they just put her in her room.
Yeah, that was the impression that I got too. And it's funny, when I saw her in the airlock, I almost forgot about them pulling that trick before with the hypo spray.
Oh yeah, but we'll get to that soon. Anyway, Alyssa, your thoughts on the whole Philip, Marco, and Amy exchange?
Which exchange are we talking about now? I'm lost. Are we talking about at the end, or? Well,
no, just the whole sort of interchange between Naomi, Philip, and Marco. How Naomi tried to gain Philip and get some sense into him, and how Marco kind of talked him out of it and got him to do the thing Don absolutely can't do.
No, I actually really thought Naomi was getting somewhere too. And someone mentioned in the chat, I lost it, but how Sentient said Naomi can't break Philip's conditioning in a couple of conversations, lifetime of brainwashing and manipulation. That makes a lot of sense, but that is really true. But I was thinking she might just break through a little bit, just enough to at least get him to doubt Marco a little bit. But no, what?
The thing is, I think she did. I think Marco just undid that.
I mean, something lasting, like something that he would undo. But she did not succeed, and ultimately, yeah, Marco did win out because he manipulated him as he always has done. So to be honest, I was a little confused at first by the scene where he, as you say, broke him down and then built him back up again. I guess I missed the turn. I was like, wait, I thought he was insulting him. What just happened? And then I processed it and like, oh yeah, I get what he was doing there. But upon first viewing, I was just a little confused that he was insulting him, like you're the worst, you suck, and then all of a sudden, but I get it. Yeah, he's a master manipulator, and he's done that to Philip his entire life, and will looks like continue to do so indefinitely.
So, all right, I'm sorry. I just want to get into this real quick. So, do you still think that Marco is a two-dimensional mustache twirling video?
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh okay.
So the one that I think of. So Michael Keaton's Vulture in Spider-Man: Homecoming, evil guy, also was doing. You can sympathize with his cause. Genuinely loved his family, actually had emotions for other people. That makes him a multi-dimensional character, that he actually can care about people. Marco cares about nobody but himself. He never loves his son, never cares about his son, never cares about anybody. I don't really believe he cares about the belt. I only believe he cares about himself and giving himself power, even if he might believe he cares about the belt. So he is an evil, straight up mustache twirling two-dimensional villain who does not have any dimensionality at all. Yeah, he's smart, he's manipulative, but so are a lot of two-dimensional villains.
I just want to point out that the whole time you were describing him, I was actually thinking of a contemporary real-life world leader.
A real-life world leader? Well, he's a two-dimensional character.
Not going to be much of a world leader any longer in just a couple of days. Yeah. I thought, well, you're describing him perfectly.
Well, maybe that's why I hate Marco so much. I would also say that particular person you were talking about is also two-dimensional. If he was a villain in a movie, I'd be like, what a two-dimensional villain.
That's fake news.
Marco Inaros did not throw those rocks from the belt.
It was Antifa.
Oh my God.
A true belter would never do that.
Anyway, sorry, getting a bit off topic here. But anyway, I don't know. Like personally, I wouldn't describe those traits as two-dimensional. Personally, I mean, I guess I can see where you're coming from. He's definitely different than Vulture, which is a good example of a well-fleshed-out villain. But I think, and I brought this up during a Discovery discussion, you almost flipped out, is Golden Cock could be described the same way as well. He was also magnetical and didn't give a fuck about anyone except for his own power. So I don't think that's necessarily makes a two-dimensional villain.
He cared about his daughter in a way.
Yeah, he did care about.
What did he care about his son?
He cared about his daughter, and he also thought that he was being altruistic with the way that he treated the Bajorans.
But I think I would argue that Marco does care about his son but only for his own, like to an extent, to his own purposes, because he does want his son to become his heir once he's gone. Like,
for his own purpose. He doesn't actually care about his son, though. He just cares about himself and his legacy. Like what Naomi, I love Naomi's line a couple episodes ago, maybe last episode before this one, where she was like, she said to Philip something along the lines of, he would much sooner sacrifice you than he would ever sacrifice himself. And that is absolutely true. When it comes down to it, Marco would not sacrifice himself for this cause he claims to care about, but he would sacrifice Philip in a second if it gained him something.
But still, personally, I don't think that makes him a bad villain, because there are magnum-molecule, like egotistical villains out there that could still be good villains, and I think he's a great villain just because of the way he's so manipulative, and yeah. I think he was sincere when he said that he didn't care about Naomi, but in his own twisted, fucked up way. And I think that that is a real life trait.
You know what bothers me about him too? Like and Darren mentioned this a couple weeks ago too, that it's the actor. He just reminds me too much of a Colombian drug lord or a South American drug lord, and it just seems really out of the place for. He's supposed to be the savior of the belt. He doesn't even have the belt or accent. He has like some, I don't know, vague Spanish accent. I don't know what his accent is, but it's not Belter.
Yeah, I think he does. He says things. He does have a bit of a
that's just
no, it's not the.
But also, and I pointed out, I think a week you weren't here, I pointed out that in the books he's described as having mainly an inner accent as well, just because he's more well educated.
Yeah, but he just seems like you just plopped him out of some like movie where there's a Colombian drug lord as the bad guy and just plopped him into the belt. He's just out of place. I mean, Marco could have been a better bad guy, maybe with a better actor.
See, and as far as the actor goes, I thought his performance in this episode was fucking amazing. Like I thought I was blown away by it, particularly at the end where there's interchange between Naomi where there's like tears in his eyes and he was like sort of telling her off in the way she was screaming. And there's also a lot of Naomi haters, which I would have a pick with as well, because I thought her actress did a fucking amazing job. I thought that whole scene all around was just amazing, powerful acting, me personally. But anyway, go ahead, Alyssa.
No, I don't really have anything else to say.
Oh, nothing else to say about that storyline?
Oh, well, you know what? Did they ever mention about him being educated, being educated in the inner planets or whatever? Because, like, yeah, that was another thing. I was thinking to myself, I'm like, how in the world is he a belter and he speaks nothing like them except for the accent? Like, he has the accent, but I'm like, he speaks like, like he actually went to school at some point. So
yeah, I don't see anything wrong with it. Like, Prax is a belter and he talked like an inner.
But Prax was
more so, I would argue.
Well, wasn't Prax like a botanist or something like that? Like, yeah. So you mean he was?
I don't know. It's just this whole thing doesn't bother me because sometimes when they get the really heavy over the top belter accents, it annoys me. So I'm actually fine with that. I still think he sounds belter. Like, there's sometimes I can't understand what he's saying because he sounds too belter to me. Like when he's saying this is a strength that to show the inners a strength we'd never hear. Like I had to put the subtitles on. I didn't understand what the hell he was saying. But I don't know. That's just me. Although
I think we got to talk about Sin now.
Yeah, we got to talk about Sin. So that's another powerful scene that I absolutely loved, and the scene where he confronts Naomi and confesses that he knew where Philip was the whole time, and how he felt guilty that when he saw her try to kill herself, he didn't realize that she would go that far. He just assumed that she would return and join. He just wanted the whole family back together again. He had no idea the kind of manipulation and horror that Naomi was facing and how she'd rather die than stay with Marco. And I thought that whole scene was absolutely amazing. Another powerfully acted scene. The actress Dominic Tipper, I believe her name is, who plays Naomi, described how playing that scene was extremely emotionally draining and hard to do. And I think it really comes off really powerful. And I love how she was like, oh, you can make it right. You can help me right now. And so the first thing he does is goes to Marco and tries to convince him to let her go, which of course doesn't work. And then later when Marco unveils his plan to destroy the Rosinante and Philip slaps his mama like he shouldn't, she turns to him and he just turns her back on her. And that was damning. I think that absolutely out. So this is part of the reason why I think the drama just really, really worked in this episode. Part of the reason why I love this episode so much. Alyssa, your thoughts on this?
On what now?
So the whole thing with Sen and Naomi and him confessing. And
I'm sorry, I just had a brain fart.
yeah.
And I just mentioned Sen like 2 seconds ago. Yeah, it's a really powerful scene, and I love the three-dimensionality of this character, and how like. I don't know. Earlier in a couple episodes earlier, I wasn't sure where they were going with this character. If they were going to play him as sentimental, or if he's just really going to end up being straight up on Team Marco. And so I loved that they went in this direction. And it might be too soon to talk about the end. I know you want to save it for later, but I just loved. It was just so tragic that he. It was tragic first of all when he. It was a very powerful scene when he first admitted to Naomi that he knew what she was doing when she was trying to kill herself, and so then for him to see that again and think that she's killing herself, and he ends up dying trying to prevent that from happening again. That was tragic. But yeah, the scenes with Sen were like really, really good, really powerful.
Yeah, no, I mean, Don, you had any thoughts on the whole Sen storyline?
Yeah, listen, I wanted to feel bad for him, for the fact that he did admit that he was wrong for what he did. Him seeing her in the airlock after, months of being away, and him knowing like, oh, damn, if she's sitting in the airlock and there's nothing else in there. I mean, there's no ship on the other side. That can only be bad. But then, when it came to the scene on the bridge, when it came to the scene on the bridge, where he turned his back on her, it was like, oh, come on, man. This was your one time to step up to Marco and be like, dude, seriously, we don't need to commit more violence. We have the Navy, there is a better way to do this. And he just, was kind of like, well, got to go along to get along. So, yeah, I wanted to feel bad for him, just like I wanted to believe that that Philip had, was possibly turning the corner. Sometimes things don't work out the way that you would hope, and we saw the ultimate price that was paid for it, and we'll talk about it when we get to it. But man, oh man, it is what it is at this point. Sometimes you really have to pick a side. You can't just try to straddle the fence.
Yeah, I mean that's a really good point. Yep, go ahead.
I just wanted to. I was just occurred to me that I'm glad that they took that other lady, I forget her name. Off of the ship and sent her off with Drummer. And removed her from this because I don't know, she was just kind of annoying, always contradicting, and just I don't know. I think this her presence there would have dampened this whole storyline with Sen. So I'm glad that they kind of removed her. I don't know if she's going to do anything. I've kind of, until just now, I forgot all about Drummer, that she's still.
Right. Yeah. I agree. I think not having there really made the storyline so much better because we had to deal more with just Sin without her butting in and saying, "Oh fuck you, Naomi."
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so real quick, I wanted to answer Colonel Doomsday in the chat who asks, so where does one find this after show? Well, one can find it on YouTube. Just search for Expanse After Show. So I think it's on the Amazon official page, but it's on YouTube. So you can just watch it there. And it's funny because it's hosted by Wes Chatham, who plays Amos, and Ty Frank, one of the authors and also producer on the show. And Amos or Wes Chatham always calls the show Ty and this guy, or Ty and this guy, or no, Ty and that guy. And I just now got the reference that Ty, of course, Ty Frank, and that guy is Amos because he is that guy. Like, I don't know why that just occurred to me. But anyway, it's a pretty cool after show. Anyway, let's go ahead and let's get into Sin, because I think what you were saying. Let's get into this final scene. I mean, where the whole going out the airlock thing, which I thought it was an intense, amazing scene to end the episode on. It's completely blew the way. I think this whole all the emotional setup. And here's the other thing about this episode. Alyssa, you mentioned earlier, it's kind of unusual for it to be set mostly in one place. But also, I would say it's mostly like dialogue character based. I mean, we did get that one scene where it's not they firing the missiles and whatnot, but other than that, it seems to mostly take place. This would just be a drama, and I think all that drama led up perfectly and built up perfectly to this ending. And I think this ending wouldn't have been as powerful if it wasn't for all the setup that worked really well, and where Sin, believed that Naomi was going to go kill herself, and he tracked it down and followed her and went into the airlock with her to really stop her. He thought that was his his road of redemption was to save her, and yet he ended up dying because of it. And you feel bad for him, you feel sorry for him, but you do wonder, like, he did enable Marco. He did help hide Philip from Naomi, and then helped Marco plan out these attacks, these genocide that kills millions of people. And still, when Naomi turned to him for help, he literally turned his back on her. So even though you can feel sorry for him, you kind of feel like maybe this is his bed that he made, and he didn't do enough. I'll turn over to you.
Yeah, I can get on board with that. But Mark, real quick, I just wanted to say, for a little while, it sounded, maybe it was just me, but it sounded like you were really far away for part of that. Like you
I was probably backing away as well.
Yeah, or your microphone wasn't working, or you were in a different mic, and then it came back in. Okay, but yeah. So I missed a little bit of what you said because I was listening very intently. But yeah, as far as Sin and maybe, I think though you can have some sympathy for him, but at the same time recognize that, well, yeah, you kind of did. You kind of are laying on the bed that you made for yourself. So I still did feel bad because he was trying to genuinely help Naomi, and he thought that she was reliving that he was reliving that same scenario from years ago that he had just been talking about. So I do have a little sympathy for him for that. But at the same time, I don't, because you're right, he enabled Marco way too much. He enabled Marco's manipulation of Philip. He enabled everything Marco did, including genocide. So maybe a little too late to try to be a hero at this point. So even if it's just a hero, just saving Naomi, maybe a little too late. But I still feel a little bad for the guy. More sympathy for him than I'll ever have for Marco. That is for sure. But I agree with what you said as well. It's a little bit of both.
like I said, I wanted to feel bad for him. I did. But yeah, listen, you can't straddle the fence when it comes to certain issues. Uh, he admitted that he hid Philip from Naomi in the hopes that somehow that she would come back to them. Like, yeah, that's manipulative as fuck. So, uh, and then after she says, "Hey, look, help, help me fix this. Help me, find a way to bring an end to this madness." Uh, you know, he has a chance to do the right thing. It seemed like he was on his way to doing the right thing, and then at the most opportune time, he's just like, nah, just gonna make it look like a lawn chair and fold. Uh, yeah. So he thought, okay, well, I wasn't able to really salvage things, but maybe possibly I can do this one good act and it'll redeem everything. If I can just stop her from committing suicide now, it'll make me feel better for what I didn't stop back then, or what I almost allowed to happen back then. It's kind of like, yeah, nah, sorry, she had her own plans. You weren't part of it, and now you have paid the price. And Philip got to see, what happened, and Philip should feel bad because he is a fucktard of epic proportions. Um, and I'm pretty sure that Marco is probably going to not have kind words for about Sin after this is all over too. He's probably going to tell the rest of the crew, hey, yeah, look, Naomi was a traitor to the belt, and this dude went out and tried to save her, and he wound up dying for it. Don't be an idiot like him. So I mean, listen, you guys know me. I'm the harsh guy on here usually. So, hey, listen, he got what was coming to him. You know, I hope you like the meal that you chefed up for yourself there.
All right, now Colonel Doomsday in the chat keeps comparing the scene of Naomi flying out into space with Princess Leia flying out in space in The Last Jedi, and I think that is incredibly unfair.
Yeah, yeah,
And
because this is nowhere near as stupid.
she didn't use magic or the Force, and it didn't look as silly. It's actually I actually loved that scene, and I had a lot of people, not just on my video but on the internet, question the science behind this. But then in the after show, as I mentioned, Ty Frank, who wrote the novel, saying no, like this is scientifically accurate. Like we checked the science before we wrote the scene, and apparently there was a real life astronaut who was exposed to the raw vacuum of space for 30 seconds and was able to survive. So it is possible to survive to up to 30 seconds. Now, I think she may have been longer, but she had that little, thing, as you said, that this used on Monica Stewart earlier in the season, the little injection, and plus she's a sort of belter who's more used to space. Some people thought it was a bit more. The more unrealistic thing was that I was able to fly straight into the airlock and open it really fast. But that I would just chalk up to Naomi being awesome, and of course her being a belter. So and a lot of people said that the sheer goal of her to try a maneuver like that just shows like that was absolute. It took a lot of guts to do that, and I think for her that she was kind of suicidal in a sense. For her, it was like I have to do this, otherwise, I'd rather die trying. Because yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry to cut you off. I was just gonna say it was pure desperation. So she was. It was like the Hail Mary pass, like the last ditch effort, the last thing that she could try, um, because she desperately needed to save Holden. She just couldn't bear the thought of Holden thinking, "Oh, look, it's Naomi's ship, yay!" and then being killed for it. So like she was just desperate, and that's what she had to do, and it ended up paying off. And as far as how realistic it was, I think they are stretching the bounds of reality a little bit, but I'm not bothered by it. I love that scene, so I can forgive a little bit. I agree that like how she was able to launch herself directly into the doors there. Yeah, okay, but I don't have a problem with it. It was such a great scene.
Well, the thing I would say though is it is more realistic than some of these other space shows where they go out into space and they immediately turn to ice and die, which a lot of people point out that is not how that works. But anyway, Don, your thoughts on this whole thing?
Yeah. Look, very good ingenuity by Naomi. Obviously, she knew the science behind using that med spray or hypo, whatever that injection is called, uh, and she was able to time it out good enough for her to be able to survive long enough to get to the ship. And it's a good thing she did it when she did, because had she waited even a few more seconds, this might be a totally different outcome. And I remember when I first saw it, I was like, wait, they're not going to have Naomi actually kill herself now, or that would be a little like, oh man. I mean, listen, I understand James is already mad now. Imagine how pissed off he would be. He steps on the bridge, he's about to face Marco, and is like, "Where's Naomi? Oh, you didn't know, Inna? She killed herself because she could not have you, Marco." So yeah, that would have been a little.
That sounds a bit cheesy.
It actually, I don't know if this was intentional, but where you're going for the
kind of, sort of, but it'd be more like them being face to face, or him, or Marco, like with like the doors closing, like, you didn't know, Inna? She killed herself because she couldn't have you. Marco!
But also, another thing I really love about the scene is the way that she was willing to let Sin die for this as well. She was just like, "Look, you shouldn't have followed me in here." Like that, she wasn't going to let the fact that he was going to die interfere with her plans, because she was that desperate, and she, even how much he cared about her. And he went in there purposely to help her, to save her life, and his thanks for that was getting killed.
Well, if it's a choice between Holden and Sen, sorry, Sen. I mean, that's a no-brainer for Naomi. Sorry.
Yeah, he's got better ass. Come
on. Absolutely. Oh, Ian Williams, good. Says great channel. I'll keep it up. Thanks so much. Anyway, Colonel Dooms, I don't recall Malcolm Reed surfing into the Enterprise on the doors in the minefield. But it's been a while since I've seen that episode. It's been a long time.
It's been a long time, Mark. Did he come there to here?
Anyway, so Naomi's goal, of course, is to stop the that ship from destroying the Rosinante. So, and she was willing to risk her life. Now she's on board, but yeah, see where things progress. I think that was a pretty intense cliffhanger. You know what? The next week's episode 8, is called Hard Vacuum. So that made me think that this scene, because I knew the scene was coming from the books, I thought this scene would be in that episode because it's called Hard Vacuum. But yeah, we'll see what goes on in episode 8.
Well, it's a great way to end an episode, though. Excuse me.
Yeah, definitely. You know, it was a shocking end. You know, it kind of almost reminds me of the Bobby and Alex end a few weeks ago, where it's just like you have this thing that happens, and it's like, holy shit, cliffhanger. So,
I wouldn't be so sure of that, Elvis. Yeah. Saying that is the Pella is right next to Chesmuka, so what did Naomi do? Nothing. I don't think that's the case. I don't think she'd go through all that nearly dying for nothing. I think it is definitely going to count for something.
oh, you know what? Real quick, any thoughts? Because you know, again, Kaz Envar, they already said he's not appearing next season. This is something I was just thinking about. Naomi's ship is obviously supposed to blow up the Rosinante, right?
Mm-hmm.
You think there's a possibility that this is how they get rid of Alex?
Well, I'll repeat what I said previously, that this season was filmed before the whole Alex debacle thing. So unless they're like, I don't, they would have to film extra scenes of the characters acknowledging Alex's death, which I suppose is possible. But I think this was well into post production when this whole thing happened, so I don't think that's likely. I think the season's going to end with Alex alive and well. So if they do anything with killing him, he's going to have to die off screen in between seasons, or be like, oh, he returned to his home planet to be with his family, or something like that. Like, which I'd rather they recast him.
Yeah, last time you mentioned that, there was I think a debate in the chat about that, but I'm on your team, Mark. I would rather they recast than to have him die off screen, or he went to go live with his son happily ever after on Mars or whatever. Like, I would rather them recast him, but
I mean, listen, I would rather recast as well, but I'm just saying based on, you know,
I'm sorry to interrupt, but Sentient in the chat says they could make Alex a Force ghost.
You're like, why do you look different as a ghost now? Like, you know, this is how you transition when you're from Mars. Yeah, who knows? But yeah, listen, you know, we know how they do sometimes, you know, especially if they have enough time to do re-editing. So I mean, yes, there's a possibility that they could be like, look, we're just going to leave the season as is, and we'll address it when we get the season 6. But you know, there's also the possibility that they're like, all right, is there any way that we can reshuffle some of this stuff?
Well, as I said, like, you need, if Alex dies, you need to have the characters acknowledge that. So you need to film extra scenes. So if they were willing to film extra scenes is the question. I personally don't think they were, because you can't just have them die and be like, and they can like edit it and say, "Oh no, Alex has died." You have to, like, you can't just end the scene or his ship exploding and then fade to black. I think that would.
they could take old footage of Holden and put like a scene to his mouth on it. Like, oh, I can't believe Alex has died.
I mean, maybe I'm totally wrong, and maybe they are going to work this in. But my money is that they're not. That
well, how many more episodes do we have? You know,
three more episodes.
I'm just listen. I'm not saying that it's definite. I'm saying, you know, we only got 3 more episodes left. There's a slight possibility, depending on, you know, what's supposed to happen in the next 3 episodes. You know, maybe at the end, his ship the ship blows up at the end of the next episode, and then they don't address it for like 2 more episodes. Same way how there was no
But
Amos.
how can they not address it? Like they're just
I
not
mean,
going to show Holden and Amy or anyone else for like the rest of the season.
well, after that would only be 2 more episodes, right? So you cut to Clarissa and Amos.
So it's going to be the Clarissa and Amos show for 2 full episodes.
Well, not for 2 whole episodes, but
But we gotta see Holden, and if we see Holden, he has to react to it. He can't just be like, "Oh," and just ignore it and be like, "Why isn't he acknowledging Alex died? What's going on here?"
Well, no, you got to think about it. At this point, he might be too far away. He's waiting for the message, and the message just hasn't come through yet. Because they're not in as close proximity as they were.
I don't know. But mind you, because as I said, the story was already written before all this, so they would have to be written so that Holden was in a position to not acknowledge it. Which,
listen, just remember that Josh Rewrite really sings.
Honestly, I'll eat my words if I'm wrong, Don, but I really, really highly.
I'm not even saying that I am right at all, or that I even could be right. I'm just like, you know what? Could that be a thing that they might do to save face? Who knows?
Well, I disagree. I would say no. It's not personally, but again, I could be wrong. I'm not 100% on that, but that's definitely I'd bet my money on that. I'm still hoping for a recast, but I don't know if they will or not. That hasn't been confirmed. We still have no idea what they're going to do. Only that cast isn't going to be in season 6. That's all we know so far. But they recast Avasarella's husband, and then they had that Easter egg last week where her phone had all the names of all these other characters from various TV shows that have all been recast for the actors.
Oh wow! I never even noticed that.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, someone in chat pointed that out to me last week's video, and then I went and looked up the picture. It had like Gregor Clegane and. Who else was in there? Oh God, there was like the character from the mom from the Fresh Prince. Who was recast. Wow. Doctor Who, because several different actors played Doctor Who, and there was like a couple others in there. But they could have put Alex's name. We'll see. Anyway, I did want to acknowledge earlier in the chat, someone asked me a question about if I think they would do books 7, 8, and 9 as movies, and that's where I'm putting my money. They're going to do it as movies. I think they're definitely going to find some way to do them, and the way the producers keep acting, like everyone involved with the show is like, well, is it really going to be over? Like they really are leaning heavily, implying that it's not going to be over after season 6. And Alcon even made an official statement saying that we're going to find some ways to keep this IP alive. So I think like Amazon movies or a miniseries, that makes the most sense to me. Because if they're gonna do like a show, like then the show wouldn't end. Like it would keep going. So I also heard in the chat someone else saying that they wouldn't be able to do these books in movies. So I disagree. I actually think it's particularly book 7. I think that could easily fit into a 2-hour or maybe a 4-hour miniseries. I don't think maybe book 8 would be a bit harder. Book 9 hasn't come out yet, so I wouldn't know. But personally, I think they could do it. That's what I'm hoping for anyway.
Well, listen, I love The Expanse. I hope that it continues for as long as they possibly can. They said they're ending it after season 6, but you've already said that they have added things in here that didn't necessarily show up in book 5. So, who knows? Yeah, but we'll see what happens.
I will say that the showrunners have confirmed that they are going to end season 6 with book 6. They're not going to introduce elements of book 7, 8, and 9 in season 6, which is great. So we don't get a Game of Thrones situation where we have a completely rushed final season.
What is Game of Thrones? I don't know.
Okay, Dawn of Ice and Fire.
No, it's Don. Don't you can't slap your mama.
I was gonna say, who's Dawn of Ice and Fire? Yeah. So you're saying, Mark, that Naomi isn't going to come in riding a dragon and just slaughter thousands of innocent people for no reason? You're saying that's probably not going to happen? Yeah, I was really looking forward to
that. James S.A. Corey is actually, well, they're involved in the show, so unlike George R. Martin, who wasn't, and even during Shankar News, better than Dan and Dave. But anyway, oh god, I thought there was okay. So Elvis asks, I haven't read the books, but I've heard that there's a 30-year between book 6 and 7. Is that true? Yes, it is. Which is why season 6, book 6 is a good stopping point. Pause, as they say. They always call it a pause point. And when they say pause, that implies to me they're going to pause and then keep going later on.
So one thing they could do, I don't know, was Alex in book 7, 8, and 9?
Yes.
Because they could leave him out of book 6 for some reason, or season 6, and then just bring older Alex in.
A recast.
The recast, because then it's easier to get away with a recast.
That's I hadn't thought of that. They could say, "Oh, he returned home to be with his family during season 6," and then just recast him for the 30-year jump.
Assuming they're going to do something with the 30-year jump, but I agree with you. I bet it sounds like they will do something.
Now, someone suggested they're going to wait a couple decades to do it. I'm like, no.
Yeah, we don't need another Star Wars situation.
That would be ridiculous. And they are setting up for it. There are some bricks being put in place that are setting up for the storyline of those last 3 books. So we have to have. They can't just leave it open. Gotta resolve it. Anyway, what? Sinchin says Expanse needs more incest.
What?
I have no idea. I guess Game of Thrones we're talking about.
I don't think I've ever said that about any show. The shows are all right, but where's the incest?
Oh my god. Yeah, GOT reference. Yeah, absolutely. Not that much like Game of Thrones. Anyway. We'll go ahead and end this discussion here. I want to thank everyone for joining, everyone in the chat, everyone who's watching through the archives. Thanks so much for watching. Alyssa and Don, thanks so much for joining. I don't know. It's weird because we don't have trailers for the episodes for the next episode.
It really throws me off. I really love watching trailers to get a tease of what's happening next. And every week I'm always like, oh, let me watch the damn it.
But do you have any guesses, any predictions, or anything you hope to see in the next episode or the next 3 episodes?
I'm guessing some people are going to die. I'm guessing Philip is still going to be a fucktard. Marco is not going to get a haircut, and so the Belters are going to love him because Marco pretty belter. And James Holden hopefully by the end of the season is going to come and kick Marco's ass. So that's what I got.
Alyssa?
I don't know. I'm going to make a crazy prediction. We'll see Amos next week. That's my big prediction. Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully we see more Ava Sorella. She starts playing a role again in the last 3 episodes. And I don't know about Bobby and Alex, if they're going to. I would still love to see them play more of a role. But as far as specific like plot points, I don't know. I don't have any guesses.
Alexandra in the chat is saying there are teasers on the Amazon.
Well, teasers or trailers? Would a teaser be like when they show like a little scene? Isn't that what a teaser is?
No, a teaser sometimes is another word for a shorter trailer.
Oh, okay. I thought that was a teaser trailer. I thought when it was a teaser, it was like they show you like a very short snippet of a scene, an actual scene, like one scene. But I could be wrong. I don't know.
No spoilers, William. What is this? Prediction: Rossi will go to Earth or Luna and join with us. There's nothing else they can.
Oh yeah, no, she confirmed what I said. Teaser, not trailer. It's a small scene from 508.
Oh, small scene. Okay.
So that's what I thought. A teaser is a small scene.
I don't want to see the small scenes though.
I want to see a trailer. Is what I want.
The small scenes I find are too spoilers. Like it kind of like when you get to that scene in the actual episode, you're like, oh, I've already seen it. Yeah,
I don't know if you ever for each Star Trek show when they do the Ready Room, they always have a scene at the end. And I think you can find them separately on YouTube, just that scene. But it's always the very first scene of the next episode. That's all they always did. Like the very opening scene of the next episode was always there. Will Wheaton's like, oh, we got a scene from the next episode.
Yeah, I stopped watching that after because
but you can watch if you wanted to watch the teasers, I think you could find them separately on YouTube without watching Will Wheaton. But there'd be no point because there was always, and they did that for every Star Trek show. And there's always like the opening scene in the next episode. I'm like, well, that's not. Who cares about that?
I think Sentient in the chat. I'm trying to bring this up. Hold on. Trying to find it. God, I could have sworn someone in the chat. I thought it was Sentient said that they predict there will be no Duarte in season 5 or in the show at all, which I completely and utterly disagree with. This is a book I wrote, so
yeah.
Yeah, I completely and utterly disagree with it. Duarte has to be in the show. There's no question about it. But anyway,
maybe they'll give us the storyline to Drummer. We'll just keep giving Drummer a different story.
Make Drummer all the characters.
Yeah, I don't know anything about Duarte, but maybe we'll just keep giving Drummer different characters.
Yeah, the show's eventually going to be like Drummer playing every single character.
Why is Drummer having drastic personality changes every season?
Yeah. Anyway, okay, cool. So we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Alyssa, if you want to give a shout-out to if you're doing anything.
No, actually, I am. I am doing one thing. The first thing that I've done separate from these discussions with you in a long time. So I decided I've been looking forward to all year, doing a top 10 shows of 2020. So I'm going to go ahead and do it. I'm going to go ahead and post it on Acton Tomko's channel because I'm not ready to launch my new channel yet. That's still a few months away. So I'm just going to slap it on Acton Tomko's channel. And I figure you and Cardinal Doomsday and anyone in the chat, anyone else who wants to watch it, I figure it'll probably just be some of my loyal subscribers who would end up watching it. I'm mostly doing it because it's fun for me, but I will share it with anyone else. You'll get to see what I think were the 10 best shows in 2020. So that should be posted on Acton Tomko's channel in the next couple, 3 or 4 days, something like that. So that's the one thing I got going on. And then I will be back with you in 2 weeks to discuss more Expanse.
Cool. And Don, shout out to what you're up
to. Yeah, well, for right now, as you can see, taking care of the the young one here when I'm not hanging out with either you or Darren or Rob. But I also am going to start getting back into doing my own videos, setting up for uh, damn it, what the hell is the name? The House of the Dragon. So I'm gonna start doing
Wait, do you
character.
know when the House of Dragons coming out?
I think it's supposed to be next year, but I'm gonna do some preemptive character bios and stuff, and maybe I'll get back into doing the live streams too. I haven't done any live streams in a long time, so maybe I'll start those
It's
up
been
again.
a long time. It's been a long time.
Hey, no, don't do it. No, no. Oh. Yeah, but thank you for having me on as always. It is always a pleasure discussing some really good sci-fi with the two of you. And hey, Alyssa, yeah, look, don't worry. I was trolling in the Discovery chat last week. All right, I watched the whole damn season. I can't hate it that much if I watched it. I stopped to hate watching things a long time ago.
All right, cool. So, and Don, you'll be with us again next week, where hopefully Darian shall return. He will make his triumphant return. Anyway, um, so I'm Mark. My channel is Enchantment of Eternity. If you're finding me for the first time, I do these Expanse discussion videos every week, as well as my own review on the Expanse, and I also cover many other shows, such as various Star Trek shows, such as my favorite one that goes, "It's been a long time." Anyway, and also covering other shows like Breaking Bad and The Outer Limits. So yeah, be sure to check out my channel for that. And thanks everyone for joining, and we'll see you all next time where you got faith in the heart.